And in other news, math is cool again, so let's do math. 9.1, finding inverses algebraically. Some notes on them. The bottom line is when you're finding it algebraically, you need to switch the x and the y's. Anywhere you see an x, replace it with a y. Anywhere you saw, when there's really only one y, replace that with the x. So this little example, y equals 3x plus 5, so I swap the x and the y, so it's x equals 3y plus 5. So that's step 1, swap x and y. Then just go back and solve for y again. When your equation says y equals, then you found your inverse. And remember that our inverse notation is written like this, and we read that as f inverse of x. So here's our first example, y equals 3x plus 5, and so we already know how to rewrite that as x equals 3y plus 5. But now I just need to use basic algebra steps to solve for y. Now since I'm trying to get the y by itself, that means I'm going to do things like add, subtract, divide, and multiply to get rid of all the things around the y. So step 1, I'm going to get rid of the plus 5 by subtracting 5. You're basically doing reverse PEMDAS steps here, so addition and subtraction need to be getting rid of first. So then on the left side I've got x minus 5 equals 3y. To get rid of the 3, what is it doing to the y? It's multiplying, so I divide both sides by 3. I don't just divide the x by 3, I divide the entire side, one big old fraction, by 3. And so then I have, finally I've got this as y equals, so I'm going to write it that way, y equals x minus 5 over 3. That is my inverse, and if I'm using inverse notation, then that's f inverse of x equals the same thing, x minus 5 over 3. Same thing, I just wrote it differently here, because here this is requiring you to realize that this means inverse given this function. And remember, you just need to think of f of x as the same thing as y. So really this is just the same thing as y equals all that. So when I go to swap it, I'm going to say x equals negative 2y plus 7. And once again go in and do the same process. I've got to get rid of the plus 7 by subtracting 7. X minus 7 equals negative 2y. Divide by negative 2. And that's basically my inverse right there. Which written in inverse notation would be f inverse of x equals this little guy right here. X minus 7 over negative 2. Last one. Same thing. Let's treat this as a y. So really I've got to swap this y and this x. I've got x equals 7y minus 2 over 5. Now in this problem, before I can actually get rid of this minus 2, I have to see that this entire side has been divided by 5, so I need to cancel that by multiplying both sides times 5. So I'll cancel the 5 on the bottom, and so now I've got 5x equals 7y minus 2. Now I can go in and I can add 2, 5x plus 2 equals 7y, divide by 7, divide the whole side by 7, and boom, that's my inverse, because now I've got it as y equals. So f inverse of x equals the 5x plus 2 over 7. Alright, that's all.